Hello, everyone. My name is Nifemi. I'm an AI PM intern on the industry innovation team, and I'm excited to share with you what I worked on over the summer. As we know, generative AI is one of the hottest topics in today's news. The products built using Gen AI are having strong impact on the way we solve problems, interact, and do business. A great example of this is Wahi, a fascinating company providing AI-driven realtor recommendations, and they recently released a ChatGPT plugin that can answer real estate-related queries. Supporting Gen AI is some of over 300 million terabytes of data that we generate each day. So for comparison, the English version of Wikipedia contains around 5 million articles and is around 50 gigs in size. And the data set used to train GPT-3 is almost 1,000 times larger than all of the text of Wikipedia. In a broader context, the self-supervised learning paradigm, which utilizes data to learn representations of text, image, and even music, is supported by this data. The data, however, can contain biases, which can result in negative outcomes for sensitive groups. My experience on the industry innovation team at Vector afforded me a unique opportunity to engage in these expansive yet interconnected subjects. I've directly observed how our projects in thought leadership, knowledge transfer, and collaborative research are precisely tackling critical AI development challenges, ultimately aimed at propelling AI innovation and adoption across Canada. I'll start with the generative AI thought leadership project. So Gen AI's ability to enable us generate new content presents a range of potential benefits in business strategy, for instance. So we can think of creative industries being able to create new content. So this comes with a host of associated concerns, especially in control and governance and technical execution. For instance, creating regulations around cybersecurity standards for organizations that provide Gen AI services. The goal of the Thought Leadership Project is to bring together thought experts across the field in panels, roundtables, and interactive workshop sessions to engage in in-depth discussions and share their experiences and knowledge, as well as network with other experts in the field. Our objective is that the participants discuss how to maximize the value of Gen AI while effectively managing associated risks. From a project management perspective, this means getting speakers and participants in the event. My contributions to this end involve looking to Vector's community of experts from our sponsors, as well as individuals in research, and make requests to participate in the session. So, essentially stakeholder management, as well as doing research into some of the most salient issues across the expert streams to synthesize ideas on topics for discussion. So this means looking into news, looking to other reports, as well as white papers from other organizations, and find out what their key takeaways are, and coming together towards the ultimate outcome of this project, which is essentially a paper which summarizes the project deliverables and insights into generative AI. Secondly, I worked on the self-supervised learning bootcamp. So self-supervised learning enables Gen AI, the development of models that can take advantage of existing data without the cost of manual labeling has had tremendous implications in AI advancements. The major improvements of SSL over supervised learning are in data efficiency, so essentially making it cost-effective and applicable in data-scarce scenarios, as well as the broad applicability of models, meaning, if you train an SSL model to learn representations of data, you can apply that on downstream tasks for more specific operations. For instance, think of the chat in ChatGPT. The self-supervised learning bootcamp's goal is to empower participants to utilize SSL techniques discussed on their own use cases. So to this end, the engineering team is creating demos of practical applications of SSL techniques, and the participants will review the material and choose techniques to develop during the bootcamp. One of my key learnings from this is that knowledge transfer projects are very unique in operation for different participants, right? So by this I mean use case, data requirements, as well as even participants' experience and backgrounds, differs and is necessary to accommodate for. I took part in the call for participation, where we observed different participants have different levels of experience, and it will be beneficial to create primer materials explaining some of the fundamentals of SSL, in addition to the demos which will be done, the technical demos which will be done, so the participants can approach the bootcamp effectively. So I contributed by doing research into SSL techniques and collaborating with the Eng team to build out a notebook explaining some of the fundamentals of self-supervised learning. So this is a form of, explaining what a pretext task is, explaining what downstream tasks are, and explaining the different approaches to SSL, for instance, contrastive learning. Another contribution of mine was in communication and coordination of data and use case requirements. So it's very important to align the participants' expectations and AI engineering's feedback on their expected use cases, ensuring that the techniques that they learned during the bootcamp can actually be applied to the use cases that they intend to develop internally, right? And also intricacies involving participants having access to vector resources during these bootcamps. So things like ensuring alignment on data transfer agreements. I also worked on the Uncovering Bias in Language Models project. The meaning of bias varies contextually, right? But in this context, we're referring to harmful prejudice towards a group, person, or an idea. And this can be especially dangerous because it can result in snowballing negative outcomes for the biased groups. This collaborative applied research project brought together practitioners in industry as well as vector researchers towards building out innovative solutions to address these issues. So solutions around identifying, quantifying, and mitigating bias. The focus of this project is essentially identifying and quantifying the bias in language models and social media data. So answering research questions to address gaps in fairness in AI systems, enabling easier annotation for debiasing data sets, as well as real-world performance benchmarking of bias detection frameworks. My contributions to this were in form of communication materials and discussions on scope and roadmap for this project. So essentially ensuring that when we discuss with the sponsors and the participants, that they understand what the goal is for the project, as well as understanding that bias identification in general is a very difficult task. I think a lot of other interns have spoken about this today. And also I contributed to building out a data set for fine-tuning the biaser. So that's in the form of generating scripting for some automatic data annotation. So for this, I made use of chain of thought prompting, as well as generating documentation on how this process can be done. Some of my key learnings from my internship here have been, one, there's rapid AI advancements going on, and vectors, projects, and initiatives are placed primarily to enable this AI advancement. A big thing is that effective knowledge transfer, which is actually one of Vector's goals, it needs continuous interaction, and use case demos are very beneficial in actually enabling this happen. And also, in general, about Vector as an institution, that kindness is an organizational culture, and that development is dependent on stronger organizational culture. Yeah, thank you. And do you have any questions?
Hi, Nifemi, I have a question for you. Great presentation. So in your discussions with stakeholders, or maybe through your research for the Gen AI project, what are some of the top concerns companies have around adopting Gen AI?
Some of the top
concerns, yeah.
I would say a big thing is understanding within the companies, knowing how employees are going to use generative AI products, right? So ensuring that for instance, using a large language model, ensuring that when employees such as software engineers are using those models, that they do not leak sensitive information, ensuring there's a lot of discussion on intellectual property, right? So who the outcome of using generative AI belongs to.